In the ancient land of Israel, a story unfolds that is as timeless as it is captivating. This is the story of two kings, Saul, the reigning king, and David, the shepherd boy chosen by God to lead his people. Set against the backdrop of a rugged landscape, this narrative reveals the intricate dance of power, obedience, and divine will. The land of Israel during this period was characterized by its varied climate. In the summer, the sun blazed relentlessly, parching the earth and compelling its inhabitants to seek the shade of olive trees. The winters, though mild compared to those in the north, brought cool rains that nourished the rolling hills and verdant pastures. Villages were bustling with activity, as people went about their daily tasks with a resilient spirit, aware of the ever-present threats from neighboring kingdoms and the need for strong leadership. Saul, the first king of Israel, was a man of imposing stature. He stood head and shoulders above his peers, a physical manifestation of the strength and authority the people desired in a leader. 1 Samuel 9:2. However, the path of his reign became troubled by disobedience to God's commands, leading to instability and unrest within his kingdom. The people, while initially supportive, began to notice Saul's growing paranoia and erratic behavior as he struggled to maintain his grip on power. Saul's reign was marked by military campaigns against the Philistines and other hostile neighbors, yet his inability to fully trust in God led to his ultimate downfall. In the hills of Bethlehem, a young shepherd named David tended his father Jesse's flocks. Unknown to him, God had chosen him to be the next king of Israel. The prophet Samuel, under divine instruction, journeyed to Bethlehem to anoint the future king. As Samuel arrived, the town elders greeted him with trepidation, unsure of his purpose. After examining Jesse's sons, God directed Samuel to the youngest, David, saying, "Do not look on his appearance or on the height of his stature, because I have rejected him, for the Lord does not see as mortals see. They look on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart." 1 Samuel 16:7. As the oil flowed over David's head, the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, marking the beginning of his journey to kingship. Despite this divine appointment, David did not immediately ascend to the throne. Instead, he returned to his flocks, waiting for God's timing. David's anointing was a pivotal moment, symbolizing God's choice of a leader who would follow his heart. As Saul's mental state deteriorated, David's reputation grew. He became a favored musician in Saul's court, his harp playing, soothing the king's troubled spirit. 1 Samuel 16:23. However, as David's successes in battle increased, Saul's jealousy and fear transformed into a dangerous obsession. Saul's once vibrant court was now a place of tension and suspicion, with loyal followers divided between the reigning king and the rising star. The story of David and Saul is one of divine intervention and human frailty. It highlights the complexity of leadership and the importance of obedience to God's will. As the narrative unfolds, David's patience and faithfulness in the face of adversity pave the way for his eventual rise to the throne. Saul's tragic end serves as a somber reminder of the consequences of straying from God's path.
Question 1. Who was King Saul, and why was he significant in the context of the Israelites? Answer. King Saul was the first king of Israel, anointed by the prophet Samuel. His significance lies in his role as the initial monarch of the United Kingdom of Israel, chosen by God in response to the Israelites' demand for a king to lead them like other nations. Saul's reign marked the transition from a tribal society to a centralized monarchy. Question 2. How did David come to be anointed as king while Saul was still ruling? Answer. David was anointed as king by the prophet Samuel while Saul was still ruling, because God had rejected Saul due to his disobedience and lack of faith. God instructed Samuel to anoint David, a young shepherd, and the youngest son of Jesse of Bethlehem, indicating that David was chosen for his heart and character, rather than his outward appearance or status. Question 3. What was the nature of the relationship between King Saul and David? Answer. The relationship between King Saul and David was complex and evolved over time. Initially, David was brought into Saul's court to soothe him with music and became a favored warrior, especially after defeating Goliath. However, Saul's jealousy and paranoia grew as David's popularity and success increased, leading to a volatile and hostile relationship. Saul repeatedly attempted to kill David, forcing David to flee and live as a fugitive. Question number 4. Describe a significant turning point in the story of Saul and David. Answer. A significant turning point in the story of Saul and David was the incident in the cave at En-Gedi. While Saul was pursuing David to kill him, he unknowingly entered a cave where David and his men were hiding. David had the opportunity to kill Saul, but chose to spare his life, demonstrating his respect for Saul as the Lord's anointed king and his own integrity. This act of mercy highlighted David's righteousness and foreshadowed his future as a just ruler. And finally, question number 5. What lessons can be drawn from the narrative of King Saul and King David? Answer. The narrative of King Saul and King David teaches several important lessons. It underscores the value of obedience to God and the consequences of failing to follow divine guidance, as seen in Saul's downfall. It also highlights the importance of humility, faith, and moral integrity, exemplified by David's actions. Additionally, the story illustrates the complexities of leadership, the challenges of power, and the significance of God's timing in